Hi all, I'm gonna hopefully show you in the next couple of minutes how to really quickly align your text and just whiz it all together without moving each individual letter. So I know that a lot of people, what are we gonna write? Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I know that a lot of people use the ungrouping and moving each individual letter about. Personally, that I just don't have the time in my life for that. So you can see that, let's zoom in it about actually, and I'll make it smaller. Let's just, right. So we can see that this is not sitting nicely at all. The T is like so far away. It just doesn't, that just doesn't look right. So one option is obviously to ungroup each individual letter. And we can try and move this, does it go there? Yeah, maybe, okay. So my H, where does my H come to? Do I leave my H here? Do I try and, but then does that look weird that the line's going through the H? It's really complicated, and it's just not something that I really want to be bothering with. Same with like any letters that you're kind of going to be using. So we'll leave that one there. So the program that I use to do this is called Inkscape. Super quick download, really easy. I use a Mac, but as far as I'm aware, it's exactly the same on a PC. So just go quick Google inkscape.org and then download obviously your current version. So when it's downloaded, it looks like this little icon at the bottom. So you've got like a little arrow, a little mountain even, that's kind of like, looks like it's leaking a little bit. So if we click on this, we're going to get a new document. Okay. So we're just going to move that over and just make that screen a little bit smaller. So obviously it opens to A4. Down the left-hand side, sorry, you've got your like action cursor option. So just normal select and transform. So drag around, resize, etc. The one that we want at the bottom is the A. So create and edit text objects. So I'm going to write in here, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Okay, so I'm going to change it to our same font. So I was using Amalfi Coast because I know that's quite a popular one that people like to use. So Amalfi Coast. So you'll see already, just having clicked, it's moved everything. Like that T is exactly where it's supposed to be. It's just so much easier. Everything's just been moved. That R is actually just touching the S, but it's touching it just enough that it looks like it's, it's supposed to be joined to it. If you wanted to change something, essentially you're ready to go as is if you just wanted to move that one around. I am a little bit fussy about things. So I will sometimes select my item and I'll come up to path, object to path. What this allows you to do is things that are like going to be quite difficult to read. So if we have a look at this T at the end, we know that that T is going to be quite difficult because look how skinny it goes at the bottom. So if we come to this little option here, the arrow with like dots, it says edit path by nodes. So you'll see as I go over the M, it's going to put a little red border around the M, around the I, and the T, etc. So if we come and we click on the T and we come right down to the bottom, it actually, messing with these nodes actually allows you to make the text a little bit thicker. So if we now zoomed out, let me just go back to there, and we zoomed out, that T at the bottom is just going to be a little bit easier to weed. Basically, I am a little bit funny about things like that because I hate weeding. But if you also think if you're pulling it out of vinyl or something, the stress that's going to be on that tiny, tiny, skinny little bit, it's quite a lot. So sort of it just makes my life easier. Essentially, I'm not going to lie, I'm just fussy. So we are ready. You've got your text there. So we're going to come to File, and then we're going to Save As. So what did we write? Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So we're going to save it as Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You're going to save it to wherever you normally, wherever you want to save your stuff. I'm just saving mine to my desktop. And then at the bottom, there's loads of different options. So Inkscape, plain, compressed, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what, like, basically any of them do. I know that the one that I want is going to be a plain SVG. So I'm going to say save. So we can get rid of that. So there we've got our original. I'm actually just going to redo it because I changed where things were. So I'll just quickly Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Okay, so I'm actually just gonna whiz that together. So there we've got our T that's like really far away from stuff, and it just looks, that R is really far away from anything. It doesn't look like the S, just looks like it's randomly chilling on its own. So we're gonna go to upload images, browse, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, open. There it is, all sitting nicely. And there we go. That's literally it. If you're doing an envelope, oh, another thing to mention. So at the moment, this is all grouped together. So if you ungroup it, you have got each individual letter, as you can see down the side. So you do need to go over, and I'm going to say weld them together. You can attach and then weld and as you wish. So for example, if I wanted Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm gonna now attach them, but I randomly wanted to say Mr. and then on the next line Mrs. Smith or whatever. So if you were doing something like an address, you could have Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the house on the road in the town, and you can align it how you want and then obviously attach it all together, and then you click make.